Owatonna High School football coach Jeff Williams. We're a couple of weeks into practice, and what are the early returns, Jeff?
Well, we got to see our kids a little bit during the summer at 7-on-7 and our team camps and that sort of thing, and so we had a pretty good sense that we might be able to throw the ball a little bit. We've got some kids who can run and jump and catch and throw, and the quarterbacks, were a pleasant surprise. I think we thought that we would have pretty decent defensive backs and pretty decent wide receivers, but there were some question marks about whether or not the quarterbacks would be able to deliver the football, and all returns so far are that they've been pretty successful doing that. The big question mark always at this time of the year is where are our lines at? Are our defensive lines and offensive lines going to be physical? Are we going to be able to move the ball on the ground? Are we going to be able to protect the passer? Are we going to be able to stop other teams' running games? Are we going to be able to get after their passer? Because I think, as we all understand, the game really is won in the trenches. And if you can't get the ball out in a pass, you can't get the ball past the line of scrimmage in a run, it doesn't make any difference how good those so-called skill athletes are. And, kids don't check out blocking dummies in the summer. In 28 years of doing this, never once has a kid checked out a blocking dummy. They have to come into camp in shape, having worked out in the weight room, and then they have to be sponges for Coach Wanyas and Coach Weiss and Coach Soley so that they understand and learn what they've got to do. And so far, so good. 2 weeks in, it looks pretty good, but we've got our scrimmage today, and it's going to be really interesting to see how we stack up with Lakeville South, the Champlain Park, Woodbury, all very fine 6A football teams. It's going to be a good opportunity to see if our kids can match their physicality.
Where on defense do you have the experience back, and where are you filling new starters?
We've got a couple of kids back in the defensive line. Chandler Buckhalter and Goy Tutt both played there a substantial number of minutes last year. Goy was honorable mention all-district. Ben Staska is back at linebacker. So, we're replacing maybe one defensive lineman, one linebacker. The outside linebackers are very raw. Ethan DeCam hurt his knee last year, so he didn't get a lot of repetitions. We're kind of looking at, maybe a Mitch Weiss or a Journey Peterson. Both of those kids are juniors. Didn't get a lot of experience on the field in those positions, so that's kind of a question mark. Secondary, we've got a couple of kids back, and Brett Soley's back. Aiden DeHonick played a little bit for us last year. Alex Reikley played a little bit for us last year before getting hurt. Both of those kids are expected to really do a nice job, as cover corners. And then Jason Williamson at free safety has really been looking very strong, as has Jay Sullivan. So we've got kind of a mix of experience with some kids who are a little bit untested, a little bit unproven.
Who is battling for the quarterback spot right now?
The two that are I think going to make the final cut as far as who's going to be the starter for the opening week or two are Jacob Gauthier, our senior. He was the backup last year to Alex Emanuelson. Got a lot of number 2 reps, got a lot of snaps in the second half of games, particularly games that we were winning, by a pretty decent margin, and really availed himself well. He's a very bright kid, has really improved in his passing mechanics, is throwing a tighter spiral, has developed some more arm strength, and that's just through throwing the ball a lot. The junior is Abe Havelka, and Abe split time with Tucker Alstead last year at the B squad, and Abe has really had a nice summer and a nice 2-a-day camp as well. He throws a really nice ball, maybe a little bit tighter than Goth's consistently, but he's just a junior. His last repetitions under the gun, in fire, have been at the B squad level, so he hasn't played underneath the Friday night lights with, ornery, nasty guys in red and white jerseys coming after him. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that too. So we've really made a pledge to those guys that we're just going to let things play out. We're going to go into the scrimmage, and we're going to come out of the scrimmage with a decision. But very frankly, that decision may only be for week 1 or week 2. We may have open competition the entire season, which, on the face of things, isn't always a great deal. Ohio State has tried to do that before, mixing 2 quarterbacks with mixed results. But I think Notre Dame is going to try it this year as well. But the flip side is, at the high school level, a quarterback is like a right guard, is like a tight end, and we do plenty of shuffling of those kids as well. And they're just another cog in the machine. And hopefully, those kids continue to compete and make each other better, and don't give up, and just continue to battle for the job, because I think it's going to elevate both of their play.
Do you do a lot of special teams stuff in the first couple of weeks of practice?
Second week has been a special teams focus. Each day we've taken a different special team, and we do a meeting where we explain, what your role is, how the whole scheme works. Then we go out onto the field and do a walkthrough session with the special teams, so they can kind of see how their positioning relates to others on the field, because special teams is such a full field kind of deal. And then we do some live stuff after that. Then the following day we'll put in another special team, maybe review the previous day's special teams work for 5-7 minutes, and then, do the walkthrough, do the live thing. So we have gotten through all 5 of our special teams. We don't do any of that at our scrimmage per se, but we want to make sure that we've got kind of the foundations of that done the second week of two-a-days, so we can go into a game prep week with the Mankato West, and then kind of start to sharpen the saw a little bit as far as scheming against what they do specifically. So we try to get the generalities out of the way here week 2.
Are there good numbers in the Owatonna program?
Yeah, we've got 60 juniors and seniors out this year, which is a nice number for us. We're down a little bit in our sophomore numbers. We're right around 24 sophomores. We've had those kinds of numbers before. The key is retention and making sure that if we've got 24 sophomores, they turn into 24 juniors, because you can do pretty good things with 24 juniors. Our ninth grade numbers, we're around 45 right now, and we're right around 80 in our junior high. So we're feeling pretty good about where we're at, and there's so much competition out there for these kids' time, whether it's actual fall sports or winter and spring sports, who determine that they probably should do something in the fall. Whether it's jobs, got to pay for the pickup truck or the insurance. There's just a lot of other things out there that compete for kids' time. So you definitely, as a coach in the year 2016, have to make your program an appealing place to be, or kids very simply will find something else to do with their time. So, the numbers that are walking our hallways, we're feeling pretty good about it right now, and hopefully we can keep these kids around, continue to get them coached up, and we can do the proverbial reload thing instead of having to start from scratch every season and rebuild.
And how good is Mankato West looking for September 2nd?
They're going to be a very good football team. They return most of their line. They return one of their backs that gave us some trouble. They return a couple of D-backs. They return their quarterback, who played the second half of the season, Meidel, who also was the starting linebacker against us. It remains to be seen, how many of these kids have to go both ways, what kind of depth they have. But as far as, some core starters, they've got an awful lot back from a very, very good football team. This is going to be a very interesting test for us to see where we're at week 1. I think with our youth, with the number of juniors that we're going to be counting on, we're going to be a better team by the end of the year than we will be at the beginning. But our job as coaches is to have our kids ready to go at the beginning, which is why we see 6A schools in the scrimmage. We used to play smaller schools, and then we go in with a false sense of security into week 1, and that's just not acceptable. So our job is to make sure that we are ready to hit the pavement running on September 2nd and see where the chips fall against a very good Mankato team.
All right, well, best of luck at the scrimmage, and then Mankato West, week 1. Jeff, thank you very much. Pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you, Roy. It's good to be back doing this again, huh?
All right. It absolutely is. Very excited for the season to get underway.
Absolutely.
Coach Williams for Owatonna High School football.